All right, you guys, we're gonna go over the supine leg extension. So before we've been working on some breathing on how to build pressure in the abdomen. Then we practiced learning how to rib anchor so that this section of our spine stayed still using our abs, and then we were able to tilt strictly the pelvis. We got a little bit of lower back motion and as the pelvis tilted, but nothing up here moved, right? So that was your supine pelvic tilt. Now we're gonna add another layer onto this. Okay, so we've got our rib anchor. So this section of our spine stays still. We're gonna tilt the pelvis so that our lower back flattens into the ground, okay? Now this section stays still. So we've got two sections staying still. You can also think about this as an open or closed scissor position. So if my pelvis is tilted forward and my rib cage is flared up, I've got this open scissor. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that scissor by drawing the rib cage down, tilting the pelvis so the back flattens into the ground. Okay. Now this is my point of stability, and you can think of it in those two sections or just close the scissors, right? So now here's the hip joint. So sometimes we talk about the hip joint, we don't really know what the hip is. The hip is where the femur comes into the pelvis, right here. Okay, so now we've got this trunk that's nice and stable. That's our section of stability. And we're gonna go ahead and move the hip joint off of that stable segment. The point of this exercise is that we don't allow any motion. If we're letting our leg go down and our pelvis tilts forward, that defeats the whole purpose. The purpose is stability here and then starting to move and dissociate what hip motion is and what pelvis and spinal motion are. Okay, so that's what it's gonna look like. Now how we're gonna do this here is from your back, we're gonna grab a band, and remember the band is a great way to facilitate our rib anchor. Okay, so to get the rib cage, if I was in that open scissor position, to close back down, okay? The second component to that is the pelvic tilt, right? So now I'm gonna tuck back so my back is nice and flat into the ground, and I'm gonna maintain that. And what you can start with is if you have your heel on a glider or a towel, you can start by just starting to extend that leg and not letting any motion occur here, right? If I'm extending the leg and my pelvis starts to rock forward, my back starts to lift off the ground, we're doing it wrong. Or if my rib cage starts to flare, we're doing it wrong, okay? So it should be nice and locked in. You should feel solid pressure with your back on the ground as you extend that leg. Now make sure you've got something, a towel or something to slide your foot on like a hardwood surface. Otherwise that friction is gonna be uncomfortable and it's probably gonna make you come out of that shape. Okay, as you get better and better at this, you can turn this into leg off the ground, bringing your knee to your chest and tapping the heel toward the ground. And then you can make it harder by extending a little further away from your body, a little further, until you can fully extend that leg and draw it in, okay? But you have to pick the point where you are challenged but still successful. If you're doing this every single rep and your back is arching off the ground, that defeats the whole purpose of the exercise. So we've got to find a point where if this is the easiest, the slide with a towel, the second easiest, gets a little harder as we extend all the way to hardest here. We've got to find a point along that continuum to where we can hold our shape here.